Yeah, so Junko, as you've seen, is back now and up to speed. So he has contributed when he came in last weekend. So he's now available and ready to play, which is great. Probably our two question marks will be Jamie Vardy and James Maddison, as you say. Yeah, both those players have been. They've done really, really well to get through these last number of games because they've been carrying some injuries. So this may be an opportunity for us to let them recover and then be ready after the weekend. So yeah, both players haven't trained this week.
That is a short-term thing, Brendan, is it, in terms of rest and recovery following fatigue and not a few weeks out?
Yeah, no, it's primarily it's not even fatigue. They've had issues, obviously, Jamie, around his hip and groin area, and James with his knee. So, and because of the games and the closeness of the game, they haven't been able to have the recovery period and rest period, which would allow it to settle right down. So we're having to look and see where we can do that for the benefit of them for the short and the longer term. So this is probably going to be the weekend where they'll miss out, which will get them ready again for the games after that.
Are there any players from the kind of younger age groups, Brendan, that you're possibly giving opportunity to in the game against Stoke that our audiences may not be respectfully totally familiar with?
No, it's going to be the same squad. Ian, we've got a young squad anyway, and we've got young players involved. So no, will be primarily what we have and in our squad that will be available for that game.
Brendan, obviously there's an increase in COVID-19 cases at the moment. I know I spoke to you about this before Christmas and whether you'd issued any of your players with instructions over the festive period when mixing was clearly going to be more prevalent. But I just wonder, with the new variant and with the outbreak increasing, and particularly around football, are there any other measures you've had to put in place, given that you've moved to a larger facility as well, or anything that you've had to do to try and mitigate the prevalence of the virus?
No, I think we've been very vigilant in all the work that we've tried to do as a club. The players and everyone have been first class. Any positive tests that we had have, like I said, been very, very minimal and been around sort of staff mostly. So yeah, but of course, as you say, with the training ground now that's a bit more open, but the club have put in place all the protocols needed to keep us as safe and as healthy as we possibly can be. So for us, it's just a continuation, but it's really reinforcing the need to you still have to be really concentrated in it, and you still have to ensure that you're doing all the right things.
Brendan, thanks for that. You brought Filip Benkovic back in from a loan spell. I wonder whether you're able to outline what his short-term future looks like for Filip and also his long-term future.
Yeah, I think his short-term future in is he needs to get playing. He went with a view to Cardiff to go and get some games, but that didn't materialise. I'm one that I'm. We send players out to get experience, but I'm also the type of manager where I also respect the manager's job is very, very difficult, and I would never blame another manager if a player doesn't play. He goes to play, but if the team is either doing very well or the player that we send them isn't doing so well, then of course this is about people's livelihoods, and they have to earn the right to play. So unfortunately for Filip, that didn't quite work out for him at Cardiff. He made an appearance, and he'll now come back, and it'll be the case of seeing where he can go next in order to get some game time.
And on your players, Damari Gray, there's a bit of talk and chatter. Obviously, his contract's up, and Islam Slimani as well. Are they two players that you're trying to look at deals for in the coming weeks?
Well, I think for both players, they've trained really, really well. The behaviour around the team and squad and everything has been first class. But I think both recognise and will feel the need to go out and get game time elsewhere. That they're at the ages both players that they want to be a first team regular in a starting lineup. So of course they have the chance to explore that.
Brendan, ahead of the game against Stoke in the FA Cup on Saturday, I'm fascinated to know, and Google Maps has helped me out quite a lot in the last couple of hours of my life, but yourself and Michael O'Neill, as I'd imagine young men and possibly young boys getting into football, I wonder whether you came across each other as youths. As I have it, I think you were born 58 miles apart. When he came to play in Ballymena, that was only 16 miles from your hometown. Whether it was with Chimney Corner, Star United or Ballymena, did you come across each other, Brendan, as youths?
Yes, I know Michael well. He's a good man and good homework, Ian. Well done. Michael's a few years older than me, and he played for the Star United team that I played for and played before. He went to St. Louis Grammar School in Ballymena. I went to St. Patrick's, so I was aware of Michael, in my teenage years. But he had an excellent career as a player. He was always very bright, and was always going to be successful in whatever he went into. And of course, when he arrived into Northern Ireland, the job that he did there was incredible. Really, there was a good generation of players, but also he was virtually starting from scratch in the Northern Ireland job, where he virtually didn't have an office. So what he did there I think he was there about 9 years, Michael, the job he did from when he first went in to creating, an environment for the players to come. And I know from speaking to the likes of Johnny and other players, how they really, bought into what Michael was doing. Because as I said, we don't have the biggest network there in terms of players, but for him to get to Euros and the achievements that he made was absolutely brilliant. So no, I have a huge admiration for Michael. He's a good man, and like I said, he's done an excellent job since he's gone into Stoke as well.
And you say I know there's a few years between you, not too many, Brendan, may I add, but there are a few years between you. And you've said that some had tougher paper rounds than others, by the way. You've said that you knew each other as youth. I wonder, kind of, how does that manifest itself in, as you've already admitted, a country, a locality that isn't prevalent with lots and lots of footballers and lots of talent? Do you know of each other? Is it one of those names locally where you're aware of that success and you want to follow in that success? Did you meet? Did you ever play against each other, do you know, as youths?
No, that's what I'm saying. I'm pretty sure, what would I be? I'm nearly 40. I think Michael will be in his early 50s. So we were just outside of the age bands to play against each other. I think when I was starting school at St. Patrick's, I'm nearly sure Michael would have been in 5th or 6th year at St. Louis College. But we would pass each other. I was aware when I went to school in Ballymena of course it's a small country, but in particular the towns are small, so you get to know of the talents. And of course, clearly, I was aware of Michael as someone who was a fantastic player, but who was always interested also in his education as well. He was a bright guy, and that was important for him. As well as having a football career, and he was able to go on and do both.
How difficult is it, and how much of a challenge is it that the FA Cup in January particularly, and I couldn't let the occasion pass, on a cold afternoon away at Stoke, Brendan?
No, but we're excited by obviously the cup competitions. We're in, like you say, the Europa League will start back in February. We're excited about. Tough game, but we're looking forward to that. And you say, as I said, our domestic competitions are important. So it's a tough game for us, of course. Away to Stoke, they're up and around where the playoffs are. Don't concede too many goals. I've been involved in tight games in the main. So we'll look forward to hopefully having a successful FA Cup run, but it's really just about the focus on this game and getting into the next round.
Thanks for your time, Brendan. Good luck at the weekend.
Cheers. Thanks, Ian.
Okay, let's go to Jason Bourne from TalkSport, please.
Many thanks, Anthony. Afternoon, Brendan.
Hi, Jason.
Hope you're well. Just want to ask you about a few of your players, if I may. Ian mentioned Amari Gray there. He's been at the club, 5-6 years now. Has he developed as you'd maybe have expected over the last few years, certainly since you've come into the club? And do you think we'll see a lot more from him if it's going to be at Leicester or elsewhere over the coming years?
Yeah, well, firstly, whilst Demare's a Leicester City player, we will always respect him, and we'll always work with him to help him in his game. I think Demare's at the stage, he came here, as a 17-year-old, and probably in the first season he was here, or certainly early on in his career, the club won the Premier League title. And I think over the course of time, he's probably not played as many games as what he would like. He has all the attributes in terms of, he's very strong off either side. His best role probably on the left-hand side, which has sort of coincided really with the emergence of Harvey Barnes, and Harvey's been outstanding in the time I've been here. So it's been difficult for him to get the regular games, Jason. And I think it's probably with Demare. He's at the age now, he's 24, been here a long time, and he's at the stage now in his career where he probably wants to be a regular and know that he's going to play in order to develop. So, and that's what happens sometimes with young players at that age. They move on from being potential, and if they're not playing, they want to then go and show that they can play regular. So I think it's something. As I said, he's come in every day. He's trained really well. He works hard, but there's been other players that have been ahead of him and played consistently well. So we'll see what that brings over the course of January and through to the end of the season.
Also want to ask you about Matty James as well. Again, another player who's come back to the football club this week from Barnsley, but gone straight back out pretty much to Coventry. Now, we all know he's had a torrid time with injuries. How would you describe his time at the club so far in terms of what he's offered on the pitch? Is there, again, more to come from him, do you think?
Yeah, I think it's been a period of adaptation. You come into the Premier League, it's not easy. You come in from any of the other top European leagues, you come into the Premier League, it's totally different. And it takes you a period to adapt the intensity of the game, the physicality of the game. You've seen lots of other players at other clubs where, it's been very tough. So there's a real demand. There's no doubt in the talent. Absolutely. He's a good guy. He's come in, been no problem at all. He's picked up a little ankle injury, so we'll see how he is for the weekend. But no, the talent is clear, and I think that once he gained a certain level of fitness when he was able to come into the games, he was able to make the impact. So he's still working to the demands of which we want as a collective team. But yeah, he's here for the season, and we look forward to working with him, and then we'll see where we're at the end of the season.
And the final one from me as well. FA Cup third round weekend always evokes really strong memories. Fans obviously can't be a part of that this particular year, hopefully next season. But how are you feeling about the FA Cup this campaign, and where it is in and amongst not just the Premier League but the Europa League as well? Are you excited about what potential opportunities there are in this competition this season? Yeah,
I think we're arriving into a period now in this virtually the second part of the season where we're in with the possibility of three competitions, and the FA Cup being one of them. It's of course it's traditionally a very, very important competition in our football calendar here in Britain. So yeah, but we're excited by it all the same, and our ideas can we arrive in the final. So we have a tough game against Stoke, but there's certainly no less importance for us. It's a competition that we want to do well in for the players, for our supporters, and for the club in general. And we want to give everything to achieve success in it.
Good afternoon, Brendan. And just following on from, obviously the owners, since they've come in, have been very clear they do want to bring silverware to Leicester City. How well geared do you think the squad is right now to do that? I know, as you say, you're competing in the latter stages of three different competitions already going into the second half of the season.
I think it's our ambition as a club. It's never been forced on to me coming in here. I think we want to be competitive, and of course we would love to be able to win a trophy. The the competition is high, of course, in England. So yeah, but the players, I'm really happy with where they're at. We're looking to compete in every competition that we're in, and I think hopefully my time here we've shown that we want to be able to do that. So that the FA Cup gives us that possibility, and yeah, we're going to give absolutely everything we can, and it's not the case of resting players or anything like that. You're picking the strongest team you possibly can to win the game.
And just a couple, if I may, on some of the players and then potential interest. Hamza Chowdhury, I just wonder, have you had any approaches yet with regards to any clubs wanting to take him on loan this month?
Yeah, there's been one or two clubs. He's not necessarily a player that we want to let out on loan. He's played at quite a number of games for me this season. But of course, Hamza is at the stage of his career where he'd probably want to play more. So there has been inquiries on it, and we'll look at that throughout the course of the January and see where we go.
Does it make it more of a difficult decision on players like Hamza this year, where coronavirus, obviously, as we've seen at other clubs, can strike pretty quickly, and you can be right down to needing all of your players at the drop of a hat? And just to decide what's best for his development, whether, of course, you want to keep him in and involved in your first team or just get him out playing a few more minutes perhaps elsewhere.
Yeah, it's both really. Like you say, the downside of everything with the coronavirus and the pandemic is that you can lose players at, as you say, Ben, at a drop of a hat. So we're aware of that, and we're also aware that we need to ensure that the squad is strong and ready for an exciting second part of the season. But I'm also conscious that if players aren't going to be playing so much and maybe going to be right outside the squad, it may benefit them and the club longer term if they can play. So that's something that we'll look at as a club and bear in mind over the course of these next few weeks.
And just finally then, and one more on Damari, if I may, have you had any inquiries or offers from him yet this month?
No, we haven't had any offers. I think there's been one or two inquiries on him, but no offers as of yet. Cheers, Ben. Thank you.